everyone, and welcome back to Movie Night. In our last section of Halloween spooky things, we're going to go over the plausible horror plots. Now, to give a brief recap of what we talked about last week, because we covered not just non-plausible horror plots, but the overall umbrella of why people enjoy horror and all of the genres. So let's just go back into that real quick to refresh.
Is a controlled reaction of your fight or flight nervous response. You see, some psychologists posit that we are no longer under as much threat as we were back in the caveman days when we were hunter-gatherers being kicked by wolves. So we have all of these nervous responses to danger that just don't get triggered anymore, unless you are supremely unlucky. So horror movies is an outlet to feel that rush of adrenaline, same as bungee jumping or skydiving is. However, that does actually have some level of risk. You know, the harness could fail, or you could crash a car if you're a race car driver. Thank you for proving that point. But while doing adrenaline rush activities like race car driving, there is some level of threat still. You can crash your car, your harness may break when you're bungee jumping. So horror movies are a definitely safer way to still feel that fight or flight reaction, but you definitely know you're not going to die just by watching something unless you have a heart attack due to the stress of it, which has actually happened. We've had people have major stress reactions due to horror movies, like The Exorcist, people were passing out in the aisles. While I don't believe anyone has died of fright from watching a horror movie, there are other things like sleep deprivation and the hallucinations that come from that have led to some, if not fatalities, then definitely some major health issues. So watching a horror movie gives you this adrenaline rush, but why do people even care about that? Is it, as psychologists say, that we're hardwired to be able to run from the wolves, and so there's a innate part of our psychology that isn't being used anymore? Well, maybe. Well, in my mind, it goes back to catharsis, which is a common term, cathartic relief, and something that we taught about in theater. It goes all the way back to the Greeks. They said at the end of tragedies, there is a moment of catharsis, where your feelings and emotions are released at the climax of the story, and you just feel better. Like the zen you get in after a really hard workout, or after you've done a really good cry. Plus, there are other reasons that psychologists and people think that horror movies are popular, but it really doesn't play into the horror aspect or just the movie. If you're watching a really bad horror movie, like So That's Funny, there's a bit of a reassurance that you're going to be okay. I mean, if this monster can't kill these idiot teenagers, then if there is a monster out there or something bad, you'll probably do okay. The monster in your bed isn't so scary when you know that it's very incompetent. And on the other hand, really good horror movies scratch that cinephile part of your brain where you can recognize and adore the good camera work, good makeup, good CGI, the good acting, just the general scary, creepy mood and tone. Things like that make watching a good horror movie really rewarding in the same way that walking through an art museum is. You're seeing masterpieces.
People like horror movies because of psychology. It is a way for them to release that cathartic fight or flight response without actually being in any danger. And then of course there is the movie aspect of if it's a bad movie, it's funny to watch a bad movie. If it's a good movie, it's fun to watch a good movie. The thing that makes horror different from other kinds of film is that if it is bad horror, you have that sense of ease knowing that if they could survive it, you can too because it's so easy for them, it's a comedy, it's whatever. If it's good horror, the fact that it's so masterfully crafted that it's able to make you feel all these emotions, even when it's just something on a screen, shows how well it was done. And then of course the main subgenres of horror are gore, killer, psychological, paranormal, and monster, with the two outliers of found footage and comedy. And last time we went over found footage and comedy as kind of an aside, but mainly focused on the non-plausible plots, things that could never happen, will never happen, such as monster and paranormal. But now we will talk about the plausible plots, the things that can happen or have happened in the past. And these are gore, psychological, and slasher. It's also my least favorite topic because, as stated, it could and has happened, and that just kind of makes me feel icky inside, and we will get into that. But, like last time, instead of just lecturing to the camera, why don't we do this over some time-lapse of a Halloween makeup look? So last time we did a little easy Pennywise thing that you can wear out any place, so what are we going to do for this week? I have an idea, but I kind of hate it. Alright, let's look it up and... should be easy enough. Let's do it, I guess. I have learned from last time and I'm not going to be putting a hand mirror in front of my face. So, let's get into this. It is relatively simple enough. It's just a puppet. So this should be real quick and easy. Cue the voiceover. So starting with our deeper exploration of plausible plots. We'll begin with psychological. These movies feature more emotional and mental stress than the fear of getting eaten by alien or slashed by Freddy Krueger. Subcategories in this genre are survival, phobia, and madness. Think Psycho, Get Out, Silence of the Lambs, Frozen, and The Strangers. And now we're on to killer. This can butt up against gore with movies like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but the main point in these films isn't the brutal deaths, but the survivors trying to defeat the killer that is after them. As we talked about in our most influential horror movies video, this introduced concepts like the lone survivor. These are mainly divided into slasher, which is definitely the biggest category, crime, and then the kind of splitting hairs isolated killers. This can also sometimes be gory. Think Hills Have Eyes. It's sometimes called even redneck, which I think is a little offensive since I am from West Virginia. Movies in this category are The Girl Who Knew Too Much, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Halloween, obviously. And now we're on to gore. This can be further subdivided into many other categories, including splatter, body horror, torture, cannibal, and even something that is called extreme, which you should definitely under no circumstances Google. Movies in these categories include, as you all probably have guessed, Saw, Wrong Turn, Human Centipede, and even The Fly counts. The body horror in that is considered gore, even though there is a hard leaning towards sci-fi. And as I've mentioned many times, this, specifically the gore category, is my least favorite genre. I don't mind the psychological thrillers. I think they're quite interesting. I love Criminal Minds, but gore is just So, my final thoughts on this category. As I said, I prefer non-plausible plots because they can't happen, and as such, any viewers can have an extra level of mental or emotional or whatever you want to call it safety, knowing that what is happening on screen can never happen to them. But these movies are the opposite of that. The things that happen in these movies can, and in some cases have, happened to other people, and I hate it. These movies play off one main thing in people: empathy. Empathy happens when you realize that what is happening to someone can happen to you. It is defined as the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. No one wants to be hurt. No one wants to die, and hopefully, people do not want other people to hurt or die. So seeing someone on screen be tortured or murdered in a way that our brains understand is actually physically possible triggers our empathy. As we stated last time, your brain doesn't know what it feels like to fly in a spaceship at warp speed. It doesn't know what it feels like to be possessed by a ghost. It can't connect. But your brain understands pain, and it understands that what it's seeing is realistic, and it's a far deeper connection than something that would happen in a non-plausible movie. It is physically possible, so our brains actually know what it would feel like. It is physically possible, so our human social nature can know this would hurt another person. It goes against our desire for safety, for ourselves and for others. Humans are social creatures. And since it is plausible, it is even more disturbing. At the very least, we think about this happening to us or our friends, and at the worst, it reminds us of the horrible things that have been done in real life to other people. And I, for one, find people far scarier than any demon spider from space. Well, alright, that took like 10 minutes to do, so that is one of the easiest costumes I can say that there ever is and probably ever will be. All you need is some black, red, and brown if you really want to go overboard grease paint, white collar shirt, red tie, black coat. I have a actual black suit blazer, but it is a hella expensive legit suit blazer, and I am not putting that anywhere near grease paint. This is just my pea coat. These things are awesome. Yeah! Costume done, lecture done, spooky month almost done. We only have a week until Halloween, and I am actually working on a very special project. It's not gonna be a movie review, it's not gonna be a lecture sitting here like the desk normal. I'm planning something very interesting. I've actually been shooting it for weeks now. I've been working on it for a very long time, and I'm almost done, and I hope it really works. So keep an eye on that. That should be happening on Halloween, which at the time of filming is a week and a day away. So regardless, I will see you all on our next movie night. Yeah, how do you like that ASMR, huh?